I follow RIP, you not my dog, you not my homie, you not gang, you'll pay the fee. I'm in the code.
See, I think we got one.
CEO for president, you see the work I'm putting in. They close the door, I kick it in. Here I am, I'm stepping in. Run as fast as I can, you know I'm after the bands. Just do it, I got a plan. I'm with HD, I'm on the man. I'm burning up, cut on the fan. I'm high as fuck and I can't land. Flick it up just for the gram. Throw it up just cause I can. My family's counting on me. And I'm depending on my fans, baby, you can call me. Come on, baby, go ahead, take.
See, I think we got one.
Alright, y'all. Come on, let me.
CEO for president, you see the work I'm putting in. They close the door, I kick it in. Here I am, I'm stepping in. Run as fast as I can, you know I'm after the bands. Just do it, I got a plan. I'm with HD, I'm on the man. I'm burning up, cut on the fan. I'm high as fuck and I can't land. Flick it up just for the gram. Throw it up just cause I can. My family's counting on me. And I'm depending on my fans, baby, you can call me Stan. I heard that you can't stand a man. Diamonds jumping off my ear, go and snap a pic. I think he beefing with himself, I'm out here getting rich. I got the feds on my ass, some haters on my dick. I know some niggas that want me dead, locked up or some shit. Bad bitch in my dressing room, she says she want a strip. Go ahead, baby, come on, baby, go ahead, take off all that shit. Please don't fall in love with me, you know I'm out here taking risks. My money calls I'm picking up, watch you sucking on my dick. Swear to God, I'ma ball out till I fall out. RIP, you not my dog, you not my homie, you not gang, you'll pay the fee. I'm in the cut with BFK, you know my niggas play for keeps. 30 niggas deep, in my section, yeah, we VIPs. Zicky walking with two bad bitches, what you wanna do? Hit them, then we switch rules, we out the loop. Pack up all that shit, we just left and they ain't have a clue. We like ninjas, all black, disappearing out the blue. My dog on the side of me screaming how we gon' make it out. We ran it up and they don't know. We don't do this shit for clout. Screws jumping off the door. I keep walking in and out. Niggas kept on switching lanes, so I took a different route. My nigga Rowdy in the back, that nigga steady screaming glow. I was hustling all night. My mama woke me off the couch. I cannot fix the past, but I'm sorry I drove you out. I'm on a mission every day. I'm going to make you proud of my city. With the heat on the side, we screaming ski. They hit the lights, they screaming freeze. We taking off, we screaming ski. I'm taking off in a Phantom. I was pulling them fast. When early bird gets the worm, and I cannot be the last one. I'ma shoot like Lufanchi when he bring out them cameras. Pouring up that lean, drinking up dirty fan. I'd rather get it out the mud. I could've moved to Atlanta. Why you hating on me, dog? Please give me an answer.
Keep the connected devices in your home protected from Wi-Fi threats with XFi Advanced Security, included with Xfinity Internet at no extra cost. Can your internet do that? Activate Advanced Security today through the Xfinity app and learn about upgrading your in-home Wi-Fi experience with XFi Complete. It includes
Alright, y'all. We about to get started, man. We got 2 hours. We basically gonna watch all these videos right here. All these videos.
Hasta con $800 de descuento en los magníficos iPhone 13 y iPhone 13 Pro con intercambio elegible. Ofertas varían según el dispositivo. Visita att.com/ES-US para ver detalles.
Yeah. Hurry up.
Hey, yo, Lorenz, what you doing?
Yeah. Hey y'all know this song drop some fires.
I wanna talk right now. Girl, pick up the phone. I wanna talk right now. Matter of fact, I'm in your hood. I'm pulling up right now. Wear something that's cute. We sliding out right now. What you wanna do, girl? I see you tense right now. I see that look in your eye. You wanna fuck right now. You wanna fuck right now. We sliding out right now. You my passenger, yeah, you already undressing. Girl, hop in the back, I'm about to teach you a lesson. Walk in the club, 2 directions, act like nothing happened. Now he posted in the corner, pouring up and we're laughing. In your ear, I'm a whisper, you know I ain't capping. Everything I said I did it, yeah, you know I ain't yapping. You're like a drug girl, yeah, you keep me from crashing. Whenever we in private, we just quit all the acting. I know you fucking with the kid, you know what it is. I'm staying out the way. I say you. I say you. Yeah. I say you. I say I'm loving you. Yeah. I say I'm loving you. I say you. You know what it is, man. These niggas probably can't win.
I don't want to talk right now.
I just hop on the beat and do my shit. Yeah, I love you, wanna show you out. I'm a man, yeah, I made my flaws. And sometimes you know it's wrong. There's some things I shouldn't have done. We could be our own boss. Diamonds bling like Rick Ross. I chose this life, so I know the cost. If you love me, yeah, hold it down. If you don't trust me, yeah, hit the door. On my block, yeah.
Alright, y'all, let's get started, bro. We all
Say I love you, yeah. Ooh. CEO.
Hey, I'm staying at the way. Oh shit. But we still don't got nobody in here.
Staying out the mix, I'm staying out the way, been running my bread up. I don't say a thing, got them youngers with them glizzy, they gon' let it sing. Stepping on their tiptoes, you don't hear a thing. My stoppers right behind me, they got different type of aim. Got their eyes on the prize, they gon' come for everything. Scream, ski, mean it's time to get away. First scream, freeze, I'm still trying to get away. Got my weight in the gym, I'm still trying to make it shake. Hinges on the door, going crazy in and out the place. Free my dog, he just called, he just signed for 36. When you get, I come and pick you up, take you on the trip. You went in, ain't shit changed, I still love you, nigga. If I had 3 wishes, I'll free all of my niggas. Those and Gabbana says, I don't see you niggas fucked around, left them in the dust. We cut up on niggas, I post up on the block with my niggas, even though it's hot. I just called a trap, told them niggas that the block is hot. Pack up all your shit, go ahead, relocate the spot. I don't do no features, not for free, I'ma need a knot. I'm too good for features anyway, just give me the bag from my scully to my toes. I'm wearing all black.
Alright, let's go.
What if smartphones were more than just smart? The all-new Google Pixel sees you, not a blurry face. With the most advanced and inclusive smartphone camera yet, Google Pixel 6.
Okay, one tip we wanted to pass along.
Oh my goodness. I hate the ads.
Hey, Kyle here with winthehouseyoulove.com. Today we're talking about FHA down payments. We're going to talk through what's required and some tips and tricks as well that people don't know about on FHA loans. So down payments, first of all, why in the world does a lender need a down payment? You need to have a down payment to have basically some skin in the game when you purchase a home. It makes a loan less risky to lenders, meaning they're going to give you better rates and better terms when you close on a deal. They don't want people not having any stake in a house because it's really easy for somebody to just walk away from it. So also, having a down payment is going to help you build equity in a property over time. So with FHA, there's two minimum down payments, and it's going to be dependent on your credit score. So first, if you have a credit score less than 580, then you need to put 10% down as a minimum on.
So if you got a credit score less than 580, you're going to have to put a minimum of 10% down.
Okay. FHA will actually go all the way down to a 500 credit score. There's not a lot of lenders that will do that, but you can go down that far. If you have a 580 credit score and higher, then your minimum down payment is going to be 3.5%. Something to note with the mortgage insurance that FHA has is if you actually put greater than 10% down, so if you're over in this category, your mortgage insurance is going to drop off after 11 years. So if you put the minimum down or put less than 10% down, then you're going to have mortgage insurance for the entire life of the loan, which is going to be really costly over time. Stick around to the end. I'm going to talk with you about the strategy with FHA loans and where people get FHA loans wrong. Okay, so those are the minimums. There's one weird kind of caveat.
So make sure y'all know y'all.
And that's if you're purchasing a HUD REO. So that's a property that's currently owned by HUD. So that means that property was a foreclosure in its previous time. You can actually put a minimum of $100 down on that property. So if there is a HUD real estate owned property that was a foreclosure and HUD says, hey, it qualifies for this program, real estate owned property, so $100 minimum, you can actually put a foreclosure.
I missed that. Wait a minute.
So that FHA, the end, I'm going to talk with you about where weird kind of caveat with FHA, and that's if you're purchasing a HUD REO. So that's a property that's currently owned by HUD. So that means that property was a foreclosure in its previous time. You can actually put a minimum of $100 down on that property. So if there is a HUD real estate owned property that was a foreclosure and HUD says, hey, it qualifies for this program, your down payment is only $100, and it's not a bad program. It's sometimes difficult to find, but that is an option there for you. Also, you have programs like down payment assistance programs. I would not recommend these programs. Down payment assistance programs tend to be more expensive over a period of time, right? There's no such thing as free money. That money is going to come from somewhere. So if you're not paying for it up front, you're going to pay for it over time. And a lot of people don't realize that. Same thing too with, even if you're not paying for it, if it's a grant or whatever,
getting educated.
Most of the time you're going to be locked into a property and that loan needs to be repaid. So it's something to be cautious of. It can get you trapped into a property and be expensive over a period of time compared to regular loans. So I wouldn't recommend down payment assistance. I think they're really expensive loans, but they're an option for you if you don't want to go with these traditional down payments. But for most people, you're going to be looking at 3.5% down is pretty standard. Most people have a credit score above 580, but if you're between 500 and 580, you do have that choice of 10% down. So where can these down payment funds come from? The two main places would be checking and savings. So you probably have a checking and savings account where you.
So if you guys are not up to date on what's going on, basically what I'm studying is I want to get, after I wholesale a couple deals, I want to get an investment property. And basically I'm going to use an FHA loan to get an investment property, which basically a FHA loan allows you, if you have a 580 credit score or above, you only got to put down 3.5% down on the property, right? That's the minimum down payment. If it's 580 or above, the minimum down payment will be 10%. So just say, for instance, let's go to a calculator. We trying to get a house that costs $400,000. Hold up. 3.5% of 400,000. Let me make sure that's enough zeros. 3.5% of 4,000. No, that's 40,000. So 14,000. If we want to get a house that costs $400,000 with an FHA loan, we could get, all we got to do is put down $14,000. And we put down $14,000. What basically happens is we go get a quadplex with 4 units and we rent out each side of them.
Money from your job.
But if you got more, listen, if you got less than a 580, the minimum down payment is 10%. But this is my first day learning. I'm only 3 minutes into it. That's what I learned so far.
That money is coming in and you can use that money to then go put down on a home. If you have cash can be a little bit more difficult. A lender wants to see that it makes sense that you have cash on hand. So if you're somebody who uses a bank account often, but you also have $5,000 in cash, an underwriter is not going to let you use that cash to use towards your down payment. And the reason why is because you have a history of using a bank account. And what the lender has to make sure is that that cash isn't being borrowed in any way. And it's impossible to tell with cash. It's impossible to trace. So if you're using cash, you have to have a very special circumstance where you're writing a letter to an underwriter explaining how you've accumulated the cash, how you have a history of accumulating this cash. They're going to look at your expenses. They're going to see at your withdrawals and see, does it make sense? Does this person actually have cash saved up? And can we reasonably believe that that's not borrowed money? Also, you can sell personal property to get money for a down payment. So on a bigger scale, this is a home. So if you're moving from one house to another, you can sell that home and use the equity as a down payment. You could also sell a car or a motorcycle or really any personal belongings to get money for a down payment. Just make sure that you're documenting all of those sales. Don't do them in cash, right? You don't want to sell a boat and then get a bunch of cash and then try to bring that into the deal. It just won't work. Everything needs to be documented in that deal. Okay. FHA does not allow unsecured loans. So you can't do cash advances. You can't do payroll advances. You can't do credit cards or personal loans. Those cannot be used as a down payment. The only type of borrowed money you can use as a down payment is a collateralized loan. A collateralized loan is just a loan that is borrowed against something. So if you took a loan against your 401k, a loan against your IRA, or a loan against property, those are loans that are collateralized, meaning that if you don't pay them back, there's an asset there to recoup that loan. So you can use secured loans like that, but you cannot use unsecured loans. Unsecured loans, again, are things like credit cards, personal loans.
Canva was a game changer for my business. You can do
Any other loan that's not secured by an asset you can't use. Okay, so if you don't have the money there, you could also look for gift funds. And gift funds are money that you get from a donor who's basically saying, hey, we'll give you this money and we don't expect you to pay it back to us. It's just a gift. Here's money for you for your down payment or your closing costs or whatever you need. So here are the sources that FHA allows. They say it can be a borrower's relative, it can be a borrower's employer or labor union, a close friend with a clearly defined and documented interest in the borrower, a charitable organization, and a government agency. This would be something that would be like a down payment assistance program. Okay, so most people get a gift from a relative where they're talking with that relative and saying, hey, we need some money for a down payment. Something to note with these is that the donor actually is allowed to borrow those funds. So if you have, let's say one of your parents is willing to give you a gift, if they take out a loan for, let's say, $5,000 and gift you $5,000, that's actually allowed. But you cannot take out a loan for $5,000 for your down payment. So it's a little strange. And you're also going to have to sign documents saying that the donor does not expect repayment. So something to watch out for. So the donor can borrow funds, but the donation cannot be.
So basically what he's saying is with this is the donor, if you're just say for instance, you don't have the money, right? You could tell your mom, right? Hey mom, or a relative, can you go to the bank and get out a loan for $5,000 and whatever the amount for your down payment will be, and then they gift that money to you, that $5,000, but they don't expect you to pay it back, right? Basically, what you're doing is the FHA loan, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. So you take that $5,000, put it down payment because it's a gift. Correct. All right. Now, just say for instance, you go borrow $5,000 from the bank, and you try and use that $5,000. You can't do that. It's not allowed.
So there's a couple little just fine lines in there that make it a little tricky to go with gift funds. If you are using gift funds, if you know that you don't have funds available for the down payment and closing costs on your own, talk with your lender to make sure that you're documenting the gift funds correctly. Too often I see people go ahead and move money around with donors, and it makes it a nightmare for us to have to document and trace that money, because I've had instances where a donor takes money from an investment account over to a checking account, and then they transfer it to our buyer's checking account, and then they transfer it to their savings account. And what becomes difficult is I now need to document that entire flow of that money. No longer do I just need one statement. I need to see this entire flow, because the underwriter wants to know where all these funds are coming from. They can't just see a deposit of $5,000 or $3,000 or whatever your down payment is. They can't just see that deposit and then say, okay, it was from a donor. They have to see that it came from an acceptable source. Okay, now as far as a strategy with FHA, you're going to normally go with an FHA loan. Most people are going to do 3.5% down, right? FHA loans, I like to think of kind of like almost like a short-term bridge type loan, because ultimately what you want to do is you want to refinance into a conventional loan. A conventional loan's better because it removes any mortgage insurance. You're going to get better terms and more cost savings over a long period of time with a conventional loan. But FHA might be good for you now to have the low down payment, and they're easier to qualify for on the FHA side. So what I would suggest is if you're taking an FHA loan, in the next 6 months to 3 years, you need to be building your credit score, making that higher. We want to get that
exactly. We need to get a better credit
to a 720 plus for a conventional loan. You're going to get really great terms and rates on a conventional loan.
So we need a 720 credit score
that high. So you're building credit, you're building equity. So you're paying down your current mortgage. You're making improvements if you need to build up the equity in your property. And if you had a bankruptcy, foreclosure, or short sale, we're waiting for that those waiting periods to come off of
and they usually come off in 7
years for you to be able to qualify for a conventional loan. So FHA loans are great to have now, but then we want to work on an exit strategy to refinance into a cheaper loan. So it's something to be mindful of. Also, when you're setting up the FHA loan, you want to keep in mind what costs you're paying. Because not only do you have your down payment, but you have closing costs on top of it. No matter what lender you're working with, you're going to have to pay closing costs, things like title, recording fees and appraisal, insurance, taxes, credit report fees, different things like that. So what I recommend with FHA loans is, since they are temporary loans, right? At least in my mind, I don't want you to have an FHA loan for years. I want you to have an FHA loan for as long as it takes for you to be able to refinance into a conventional loan. So what I always recommend is looking at getting a credit from the lender towards closing costs. So what happens is you raise your interest rate to receive a credit towards your closing costs. So let's run through an example. Let's say you talked with a lender and they said, hey, we could give you a 3.5% rate on an FHA loan, and it would cost $0 in points. So no points, no credit at all. But that sounds like a good idea. Like, we have a low interest rate. But if our plan is to refinance that loan anyway, why not get free money to pay off our closing costs, right? Because we might have $0 in credit, but we have an additional $3,000 in closing costs that we have to pay out of pocket. So instead, what if we took a higher rate? Let's say we bumped our interest rate to 5%. And we received a $3,000 credit, so that our cash at closing for closing costs.
Yo, this is crazy, y'all. So basically what's happening is, when we go to the closing, there's going to be closing costs. We're going to have to put down closing costs. If there's a closing cost of, just say for instance, like he said, they tell you, okay, there's going to be no credit, all right, and you just get the loan. Basically, at closing, you're going to come to the table with your piece of the money, all right, whatever you're putting down, the $14,000, but you're going to have to pay the extra $3,000 for the closing costs, all right? But why not just let the company credit you for the closing costs for a higher interest rate, because of the money you're going to already pay back? You're going to pay it back anyway, All right, because when you refinance, you're gonna refinance to a lower rate. Let's run that back again.
We could give you a 3.5% rate on an FHA loan, and it would cost $0 in points. So no points, no credit at all.
So 3.5% FHA loan, and they're gonna say they can give you 0 points, no credit, no money at all, right?
But that sounds like a good idea. Like we have a low interest rate. But if our plan is to refinance that loan anyway, why not get free money to pay off our closing costs, right? Because we might have $0 in credit, but we have an additional $3,000 in closing costs that we have to pay out of pocket.
So at the closing costs, you're gonna have to pay $3,000 out of pocket. You're gonna have to pay for closing costs. All right.
So instead, what if we took a higher rate? Let's say we bumped our interest rate to 5%, and we received a $3,000 credit so that our cash at closing for closing costs was $0, and all we had to bring was our down payment. So we took a higher rate to basically get a credit of money back to pay off all of those closing costs. And then what happens is we refinance over into a conventional
loan after you get to that 720.
If I can spell conventional. So, you know, it's not always about the rate. It's about the longer term strategy that you're in. There's no point if right now you have a credit score that's 600 and you're getting an FHA loan, there's no point in trying to get that aggressively as low as possible on your interest rate. But I see people do this all the time because we're always told it's always about the interest rate, but it's not. It's about the long-term plan that you have. So if you're paying all this money to lower your interest rate, but then you know you're going to refinance into a conventional loan anyway, or worse yet, you think you're just going to hold on to this loan for 5, 10 plus years, then you're going to waste a lot of money. It's always better with an FHA loan. Let's increase the rate. You're only going to be paying that for a few months, maybe a year or two. Higher rate, pay those closing costs off with a credit, then refinance into a conventional loan when you've built up your credit score, you've built up equity, and you're waiting for anything else on your credit report to be fixed. Okay, if you want to learn more about increasing the equity of your property, I have a video right over here. It's going to help you.
Okay, that was a good video.
Bribe.com.
Let's see what this guy's got to say.
Dating? No.
What costs you're paying?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? John here. In this video, I'm going to teach you about FHA mortgages, buying real estate with 3.5% down payment. 3.5% down, buying property. It's very affordable, very attainable for the masses to go out and buy real estate. But it's not all good. There's some pros, there's some cons to it, and I'm going to uncover all of them here so you can make the best and most informed decision with real estate investing. See where you kind of stand and see what you should do to make a smart decision. Because at the end of the day, we all want to make smart decisions, and you can't do that unless you have all the information. So first and foremost, the 3.5% down is super attractive and really easy to get your hands on. I mean, no matter where you live, a first month, a last month, and security deposit on an apartment is at least a couple grand. So if you're buying a $200,000 property or $300,000 property, to have $7,000 or $10,000 for a down payment is twice the cost of moving into an apartment. So it's pretty easy to get the money together. The other advantage is the credit score. The credit requirements are very easy. They're 580 and above.
Credit easy. Come on, man. 580. That's it.
And 579 and below for 10% down payment. So to have 580 credit score is a good credit score is above 700. Above 700. So 580 is kind of an average score. Another beautiful aspect is you can buy a triplex or a fourplex or a duplex or a house or a condo or a manufactured home. All these things through FHA. However, it varies state to state and location to location what the loan limits are. So if you're in San Diego, you can borrow $690,000 to buy property. But if you're in Madison, Wisconsin, it's $315,000. Another advantage is the debt to income. So this is what lenders look at before they decide to lend you money. They want to see what are your debt commitments every single month in comparison to your income. So if you're making, for easy math, $100 a month and your debt is $36, then you make the cut. However, with FHA is 43%. So 43% compared to 36%. So it's easier to qualify. However, this is where it gets a little tricky, and this is what you have to look out for with FHA. So you pay something called mortgage insurance, which is 0.85% of your loan every single year as a fee. So if you borrow $100,000, that means you pay $850 per year as a fee, which is not bad. It's about $75 to $80 per month per $100,000 you borrow. So if you buy a $300,000 property, you're gonna pay a couple $100 a month, which is fine. And you pay this until you have what's called 20% equity. So equity is the difference between what the property is worth versus what you owe. So if the property is $100,000, you owe the bank $80,000, congrats, you now have 20% equity, and you can walk away from the FHA loan that you had. So this is exactly how I would buy an FHA deal and what I would be looking for. If
I don't see how we can grow unless
I don't want to listen to ads, man.
I have no experience. First and foremost, I'd be building a plan around getting ahead and getting financially free. And first and foremost, I'd look at where's my money going every single month? What are my main expenses? Probably rent, car insurance, gas, food, all these things. But the biggest expense is going to be rent. So what I'd be looking for is a situation where I can buy a fourplex, live in one of those units, collect rent from the other three that will pay all of my expenses on that property, and leave me essentially with some cash flow at the end of the month. So I cancel out my rent payment. So if I'm spending $1,500 a month, me buying this property saves me $1,500 a month and enables me to save more money, and get ahead and buy another property. But I'm looking for a specific type of deal. I'm looking for a deal where I can go buy this property for a substantial discount. I'm looking for a really good deal, so then in 9 months or a year, I can...
That's why if you wholesale, we know how to find deals.
Call the bank and do what's called a refinance, where they then send an appraiser out to the property. They confirm that there's 20% equity in the property and get me out of that loan. So that way I essentially bought a really good deal at a really good price, took a really good loan because the down payment enabled me to buy the deal and get out of renting, and then get out of that loan in a year. And then what's gonna happen is now I live in this property, I'm cash flowing even more because now I'm no longer paying PMI, that mortgage insurance, which was a few $100 a month, and I'm saving money. And now if I'm saving a couple grand a month, 2, 3, 4 grand a month, this enables me in a year or 18 months to maybe have enough money to buy another property with 20%, 25% down, and then have this rental property that's essentially going to be paid off in the near future, maybe 20 or 30 years down the road. It's going to be fully paid off, and those rents coming in from that building are going to position my retirement. So if they're now renting for $700 or $800 or $1,000 now, in 20 years, they're going to be renting for twice that price at a minimum. And it's going to just pay for my entire retirement. If that was, my ambitions were that low to just have the one deal, then that does it for me. It's going to provide more security owning that property than any boss or anyone else can ever do. But with all that said, if you don't know what you're doing, and you buy an FHA deal with 3.5% down, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be locked in paying these fees every single year until eventually you have 20% down. So right now we're in a really good spot in the market where things have been going well for so long. I mean, 11 years. It's been going well. Interest rates are super low. Property values are really high. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to have some people that are going to run out there and buy real estate because they feel like, they can buy it with 3.5% down. They're going to go buy it. Then the market's going to correct inevitably, which it always does. Markets always go up and down. Then they're going to be stuck in this deal, paying these fees for 10 years maybe. So the key here is not just buying a deal that has 20% equity, you want to obviously position the equity plus a little bit of risk in that deal, so in the event that the market does correct, you still can refinance out of that deal. So what I would like to do is buy something that has that margin where I can go in, do some work, whatever I can do to increase the value of that property, and then secure that refinance and get out of that loan and build out that plan and that system to enable me to buy that other property. But the only way to really do this is not to just run out and call your lender and see if you can buy the deal and start. The best way to do this is to do the legwork, do the homework, and know your market. Drive the streets. Every street in your neighborhood, you should be driving it, seeing who's renting. You should be on apartments.com, you should be on Craigslist, all these third-party websites, looking at how much units are renting for versus how much they're selling for, understand the vacancy rates, and understand every single thing you could possibly understand about real estate in your market. Because what's gonna happen is the more that you know, the more likely it is you're gonna win. That's just how all games, that's how poker is won, that's how all sports
exactly. The more you
know,
know,
the
more
better
you
off
win.
you're gonna be, and the more likely it's gonna be that you make a smart and informed decision. Now, for me, I personally think that a fourplex is the way that you should start. FHA is a really good avenue for you if you put in that homework, because you're gonna pick it up with 3.5% down payment, and inside of a year or maybe 18 months, you get out of that loan, you refinance out, you get a better loan, you no longer pay PMI, you have these 4 units, now you're positioned well to buy another property, and all the while, you're no longer paying rent. Because if you're saving 20% down for a $300,000 property, that's 60 grand. Plus you have to factor in the reserves and the closing costs, everything else could be 70 grand or 75 grand. And it might take you 4 years or 5 years to get there. And when you do get there, you probably wasted 50 or 60,000 just in rent from then to then. So I would highly, highly suggest exercising all your options, studying your market super well, and looking at what properties are selling, which properties aren't selling. I would get on the phone with a mortgage broker once I felt comfortable, and I would talk to them. And I would see if I qualify, and I'd get their opinion. I'd send them some deals, and I would take an overall look at my current situation to be sure that I'm not just gonna make an impulsive decision, run out, buy real estate, and then regret it a year or 2 years in. Because the reality is, investing is only fun if you make money. And I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money, and I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money. And overall, that's just what happens when you keep your eyes open and you're paying attention to what's happening in the market. So right now is an interesting time because we've seen so much growth in prices, in rental prices, in real estate prices, to where it feels like it's never gonna go back down, but things always do. Things always do. So be smart, make smart decisions, always calculate for things to go wrong, because they usually do. And you doing this is just gonna increase the odds of you having a successful real estate transaction. Thanks so much, and please like, comment, and subscribe.
Man, John, I appreciate the video. Let's go to the next one.
I have the...
Oh, did we give John a like? Yeah, we gave John a like and subscribe. All right, let's go right here.
Everyday Money Guy. I put out a video a couple weeks ago about the things that I did with money when I was younger and the things that I wish that I would have done. And one of those things that I talked about was purchasing a multifamily building for 3.5% down to live in and rent the other side. And the cool part about that video is I had a real viewer reach out to me in real life saying that he was inspired by that and that he would like, some more information on buying a multifamily home for 3.5% down and living in one side, renting the other, and being able to essentially live for free. So we're going to talk about that today. But if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to grow your wealth, increase your success,
you already know,
financial freedom. Also, smash the like button for me. That helps this video and this channel in the YouTube algorithm. So if you want to move out of your mom and dad's place or wherever you're at, you don't have a lot of money for a down payment, and you also really don't want to pay rent or pay a mortgage, there is a way around that by using FHA low down payment financing to purchase multifamily buildings, live in one unit and rent out the rest, and hopefully cover your mortgage and maybe even your utilities. This is one of the many things that I wish that I would have done when I was younger. Instead of purchasing a single family home, I had considered it, but then I just didn't do it. I purchased a single family home instead of a multifamily building, and I think that that put me behind a little bit financially from where I could have been had I have done that. So we're going to talk about that today, what the requirements are, what that kind of entails as far as from your end, from being a landlord. So I'm going to take you through the process and what this would look like. This will be a little bit more difficult than purchasing a single family home, but I do believe that you will be far...
Remember, nothing is too difficult. Try it.
...financially if you consider this. The big deal is that you can use FHA 3.5% down financing to purchase a multifamily building up to 4 units. So obviously you can live in one, and if you have, 2, 3, or 4 units, you may be able to cover the entire mortgage or at least some of the costs. Let's go over what the FHA requires for you to get that 3.5% down. You are going to need a FICO score of at least 580 to get 3.5% down. But if you don't have a FICO score of 580, anywhere from 500 to 579, you can put 10% down and still be able to qualify for an FHA mortgage. You are going to have to pay MIP, which is mortgage insurance, because it is a less than 20% down loan. This is very similar to PMI if you're just taking a conventional mortgage, and it insures the loan from default. Your debt to income must be less than 43%. When you add up all of your debts, compare that to your income, your total debt load cannot be more than 43% of your gross income. This must be your primary residence. FHA is in the business of making homeowners, essentially. So they want you to live in this residence. You have to be there for at least 1 year. This is a pretty universal thing with getting almost any loan, is that you have to be able to prove that you are employed and have steady income, and that you will continue to be that way in the future. So while all this sounds great, the FHA loan sounds great, you can get this with really marginal credit.
Nothing.
And not a whole lot of down payment, and it seems like a pretty easy loan to get. 43% debt to income is pretty high, so they'll go out on a limb for you here. But there are a few downsides. For one is the mortgage insurance that you have to pay monthly. That is a necessary evil, because without that, these type of loans would not be made.
Possible.
If you are taking the very low 3.5% down payment loan, that amount cannot be removed if your debt to income or your loan to value gets to be 80% or less. That is on there for the life of the loan. Actually, with the ones that are 10% down, you can have that removed after a certain time period. In addition, there is an upfront mortgage insurance that you will have to pay at closing that amounts to 1.75% of the entire loan. Now, this cost can be paid at closing, or it can be rolled into the loan. Again, it's just an upfront cost that you have to pay in order to get these loans.
Exactly. So we get it rolled in the loan. That's what the last guy talked about. Getting it rolled into the loan. There were basically what happened is you don't pay no closing costs.
All loan amounts, if you go on FHA's website, it has different amounts of your monthly mortgage insurance that you'll have to pay depending on the size of the loan and the amount of down payment. And we're going to get into that next. In this example, we're going to be talking about a loan that is greater than or equal to $625,000 and a loan to value of greater than 95%. In that case, you are going to have to pay 0.85% annually of the amount financed, and that cannot be ever taken away from that loan unless you refinance it into
a conventional
loan.
loan.
Every year, you're going to have to pay 0.85% of the loan amount, broken up into 12 monthly installments that will be tacked on with your principal and interest and taxes and insurance if you escrow those all in one bill. All right, so let's get into an example and kind of get down and dirty in the numbers. Let's say that you find a duplex that has a purchase price of $200,000. Your down payment for that at 3.5% is going to be $7,000, and your loan would be $193,000. Your upfront mortgage insurance, which would be 1.75% of the loan amount, would be $3,377.50. So your total amount financed would be $196,377.50. If we just assume a conventional fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%, your principal and interest will be $827.94. I just estimated taxes and insurance, and I estimated those at $800 for your insurance, 1.1% of the loan amount for taxes, which is the nationwide average. Altogether, that wraps up to be $1,077.94 a month. However, we have to add on your mortgage insurance, and again, that is going to be 0.85% of the loan amount, which for this would end up being $1,669.21 per year, or $139.10 a month, which makes the total $1,217.04, including your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. So now you have to look at the property that you found and figure out what units would rent for.
Let's go back. Let's go back.
Let's say that you find a duplex that has a purchase price of
Let's go over it with him.
$200,000. Your down payment for that at 3.5% is going to...
So just say that the down payment on the property, he did $200,000. We gonna do $400,000. Cause where I live is more expensive. So $400,000, right? $400,000. What do you say?
To be 7.5% purchase price of $200,000. Your down payment for that at 3.5% is going to be $7,000, and your...
So just say we got a down payment, right? They're gonna charge us a down payment of 3.5%. 3.5% of 400,000 is basically 14,000, right? So 14,000.
Loan would be $193,000. 93 would be one. Your loan would be $1,000, and your loan would be $193,000. Your...
So that means if you take the purchase price, hold up, let's go to the calculator. So we're gonna take our purchase price of 400,000, right? Minus 14,000. That's gonna be 386,000. 386,000. That's the loan amount before MIP. All right.
Or upfront mortgage insurance, which would be one.
That's your mortgage. MIP is mortgage insurance payment. Right?
0.75% of the loan amount would be 33.75%. Mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance, which would be 1.75% of the loan amount, would be $3,377.
So your mortgage insurance payment on the $400,000 property is gonna be,
which would be 1.75% of the loan amount, would be
1.75% of the loan amount. So 1.75% of 386,000. Look that up. So that means your loan amount,
$3,377.
that's gonna be 33. Mortgage insurance payment is gonna be 3,377. But for us, it's gonna be 6,755.
$7.50. So your total amount financed would be $196,000.
So your total amount finance, you want to take. So now, hold up. Mortgage insurance payment. Payment 1.75%, right? Yeah. All right, now that means your total finance. Your total finance is going to be, let's go back to the calculator. 386,000 plus 6,755. That's 1.75% of, that's the MIP mortgage insurance payment. That's gonna be 392,755, right?
377.50. If we just assume a conventional fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%.
Conventional fixed rate mortgage at what?
Your principal and 30 years at conventional fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%.
More than 30 years.
Your principal and interest will be $827.
3%. Fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%. Percent. Did he take 3% of 100? 200,000? Let's see.
I just estimated taxes and interest. Assume a conventional fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%. Your principal and interest will be $827.
I don't know how he got this number.
30 years at 3%, $6,377.50. If we just assume a conventional fixed rate mortgage, 30 years at 3%, your principal and interest will be $827.94. I just said.
Now we gotta look up how they get principal and interest.
Ready to launch your Google ad? You can review your ad.
Alright, y'all, let's watch this video.
Sure that you're set up.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the monthly payment of a mortgage. So in this example problem, Jessica takes out a $300,000 loan at a fixed interest rate of 5% to buy a home. The loan is to be repaid in a time period of 30 years. Part A, calculate Jessica's monthly mortgage payment. What is the formula that we could use to get the answer? The monthly mortgage payment is equal to the principal, P, times the interest rate, R, times 1 plus R raised to the n. N is the total number of payments.
Hold up, y'all. We in math class.
Rate. The monthly mortgage payment is equal to the principal, P, times the interest rate, R, times 1 plus R raised to the n. N is the total number of payments that need to be made, divided by 1 plus R raised to the n minus 1. So let's write down what we know. The principal is the mortgage, $300,000. That's how much she's borrowing to buy the house.
Hold up.
Now so let's write down what we know. R that need to be made. The principal, time period of 30 years. Part A, calculate Jessica's monthly mortgage.
So basically, in our example, we got it for $400,000 and with a 3.5% interest rate.
What is the formula that we could use to get the answer? The monthly mortgage payment is equal to the principal, P.
So let's write this down. Mortgage, M stands for mortgage. P stands for principal.
Times the interest rate, R.
R stands for interest rate.
Times 1 plus R raised to the n. N is the total number of payments.
N is number of payments.
Divided by 1 plus R raised to the n minus 1. So let's write down what we know. The principal is the mortgage, $300,000.
The principal. So the principal would be the loan that was, the total loan would be $393,000.
He's borrowing to buy the house. Now the interest rate is 5%, but we need to convert that into a decimal. To do that, you can move the decimal 2 units to the left, or divide 5 by 100. 5 divided by 100.
Hold up.
100. 5 divided by 100, or divide 5 by 100. 5 divided by 100.
To get the interest rate, we got to turn that into a decimal. And to turn this into the decimal, you can basically, what did he say?
To the left, or divide 5 by. To do that, you can move the decimal 2 units to the left, or divide 5 by 100. 5 divided by 100 is 0.05.
Let's see. 5 divided by 100. .05. So 3.5 divided by 100 would be, so our interest rate would be 0.035.
Now this would be the annual interest rate.
Annual interest rate.
Calculate the monthly payments. So we need to get the monthly interest rate. In this case, because there's 12 months in a year, we need to divide 0.05 by 12. So that's going to give us our R value.
So now, after we convert it to a decimal, so first you got to convert it to the decimal. Divide by 100. right? Then you gotta
N is the number.
Then you gotta divide that by 12. Then divide by 12.
Of payments that will be made over the length of the loan. So Jessica took out
So divide 0.035 by 12. Okay, let me do it up here for y'all. So let's do this again. We had 300. Our principal. Let's go to the calculator. Go to the calculator. Hold up. So, all right, let's go through this fast. So first, our mortgage payment is gonna be $393,000, right? That's our total finance. What the bank is gonna loan us, $393,000. And basically, what we're gonna do is we're trying to determine our mortgage, our principal, what we are, and our interest rate. All right. To determine the interest rate on the property, first step is you got to take the, the interest rate and divide it by 100. So just say you get the loan at the percentage of the loan that you got and divide it by 100. Say you get the loan at 3.5%. Take 3.5%, which is the FHA loan, divide that by 100. That gives you 0.035. All right. Now, after that, what you want to do is take this number right here, 0.35, and you want to divide this by 12. All right, so this right here, hold up. Hold up.
a 30-year mortgage, and it's 12 months in a year.
Yeah, I was correct.
So you need to multiply 12 by 30, which is...
So, to get in is a number of payments.
And it's 12 months in a year for the loan. So Jessica took out a 30-year mortgage.
30-year mortgage.
And it's 12 months in a year. So you need to multiply 12 by 30.
Take 12 times 30.
Which is, there's 360 months in 30 years. So she's going to make 360
payments.
So that's our end value. The only thing that we need to calculate now is the monthly mortgage payment. So let's plug in everything into this formula. So P is 300,000. R is 0.05 divided by 12. And then it's going to be 1 plus 0.05 over 12 raised to the n. So we said that n is 360.
Yo, hold up, bro. This guy going way too fast, dog. So 393,000. Right? We're going to take that. We're going to take 393,000. Take our this right here, 0.0035. Divide that by 12. All right. Then right here, 1 plus 0 divided by 12. So we taking P, plugging in P. Next, we taking in R, P times R, but you got to divide that by 12. Put that right there. Then in there, 1 plus that divided by 12 again with 360 up top. And over that, come down, divide that by 1 plus R, which is 0.035 above 12. And then after that, what you want to do is, now you got R, you want to raise that to N, that's 360, minus 1. Alright, I'm going to see what my answer is first. So, alright, y'all ready to do this? So, we're going to do 393,000 times 0.0 0.035 divided by 12. Alright, times, you know what I'm saying, 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. No! Oh my goodness, bro. 393,000. 93,000. Parentheses. 0.035 divided by 12. Parentheses. Another parentheses. 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12.
Divided by 1 plus 0.05 raised to the 12. I mean, divided by 12, rather. But raised to the n again. And then minus 1. So let's do this one step at a time. Let's take 300,000, multiply it by 0.05, and let's divide that by 12. You should get 1250.
Let's take 393,000 multiply that by 0.035 divided by 12. What's that? Alright, that's 1,146. 25 cents right there.
50. Next, let's calculate this portion.
Next, you got to get the next portion. Alright, the next portion of the equation is?
Type in what you see. So 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. That's 1.00416 repeating. And then raise that to the 360 power. So you should get 4.467744,314.
Hold up. What? Raise it. Oh, I think you raise it right here. Okay. I think I remember this from math class, bro. Alright, let's go. Now, what you want to do is, you want to take 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. This to the 360 power is equal to that. So, over 12 to the 360 power. We got to raise it to the 360th power. All right. Oh, no, we already did. We already did. That's going to be 4.46774965. All right, now we got to take that and multiply that times that. So 1146.25 times 4.46774965. All right. Now let's go back to this.
So this is going to be the same as that number.
So this over the top is going to be the same as that number.
Well, there's no point in rewriting it. We could just subtract it by 1. So this is 4.4677, and then the rest of that stuff minus 1. So that's going to be.
So that's minus 1. That's going to give us 3.46774965.
3.467744,314. So 1250 times 4.4.
So now we're going to do ours before he finished, right? So we're going to take 1146.25 times 4.46774965. Take that number, divide that by 3.46774965. So my mortgage payment on this property would be about $1,500 a month.
And insurance.
4.67744,314 divided by the number on the bottom. Will give us our answer. So the monthly mortgage payment is $1,610.46. The exact value, by the way, for those.
Wait, what? I did something wrong, y'all. I did something wrong.
We'll give it. Will give us our answer.
Hold on, I don't know what I did wrong.
It is this number.
My property costs more than his, and his is less than mine.
Just to keep things simple, I wanted to round it to the nearest cent. So that's Jessica's monthly.
Yo, do another example, bro.
Now, it turns out that there is another formula that you could use to get the same answer. And this formula is a little less, it's a little more simpler than the first one. So it's P times R divided by 1 minus 1 plus R, but raised to the negative n instead of positive n. Let's try that formula too. So let's take the principal of 300,000.
So it's really, it's a great business to have. So you're.
Let's multiply by R, which is point.
All right, so let's try and redo ours before he finishes. So our P principal is 393,000 times R. I don't know who's that, bro. Hello. Hey, Hunter, how's it going? Over at where? Oh yeah, I'm not interested anymore. Really? Hold on, let me call him back. Hello, can you hear me? So this is the sales call. So yeah, basically what happened was I was interested in doing it, but now I've got into a lot of other different businesses, you know. So I've started up since the time we've talked. I'm pretty sure that was a couple months ago. I've started up a wholesale real estate business. I've got a credit repair business going on right now. Also have a couple vending machine businesses. And just a lot of, I also have a marketing business I have in the working also. So really I can say, and I also do what you're doing right now. I've actually started cold calling leads and things. So I was interested in it. I guess that was just the first step in getting into financial freedom, you know, and maybe that video had popped up and it just led to way more other videos that I got way more interested into.
Okay, it sounds like you just ventured off into another passion.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not a problem at all. I just want to check up with everything and see where you're at. But I mean, if you're doing good and you know it's not as big as a passion as something else you're dealing with, then hey, that's fine too. But otherwise, yeah, just keep my number in mind if you want to actually have just some time with this and get back into it. That's perfectly fine. Just give me a call back to this number and I'll take care of you.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sounds
good. Well, you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
0.05 over 12.
Alright. So let's say 300 on 93,000 times. Alright. To get R, remember how to get R. Take the rate divided by 12 points. So first take the interest rate, 3.5%, divide that by 100. 3.5% divided by 100. That's 0.35 divided by 12. That's going to give us that. All right. So we don't want to enter that in right now because it's just too many decimals. A little is too many decimals. Let me see. I lost my train of thought right there. 0.35. What is he multiplying that by? Oh, divided by 12. That's what it was. Divided by 12 over 1 minus 1 plus that number right there, R, 12 to the negative n, that would be negative n, that would be 360. Because that's the number of payments.
And then for the bottom, you want to introduce a set of brackets.
A set of brackets.
So to 1 minus 1 plus 0.05 raised to the 12. And then, divided by 12, but raised to the negative 360. So don't forget to include the negative. It's very important. So 300,000 times 0.05 divided by 12. We know that to be...
So 393,000 times 0.035 divide that by 12. No, that's wrong. And that's 0.35 divide that by 12. That's going to give us this number right here. All right. That's, I think, 1 million. I don't know. 3, 4, 7, 4, 2, 8, 5.7. And you're going to take that number right there. Right? Let's go back.
1250.
What? How did he get 1250? How did he get 1250 and I got 1,000? Oh my, 1 million. Oh my goodness. All right, y'all. So he got 1250 and I got this number. What did I do wrong? Let's go back, man. Hold up. So he taking. Oh, so you gotta do us in parentheses. Oh, that's why. 3,000. 92,000 times. Really parentheses 0.035 divided by 12. Okay, there we go. 1,146, right? And now we're going to take that number.
And then 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus.
All right. So now to do the bottom formula, right? We're going to come over here and we're going to do 1 minus parentheses 1 plus. All right. And let's go back.
Plus 0.05 divided by 12.
Plus
to the negative 360.
Plus 0.035 divided by 12 parentheses raised to the negative 300. Wait, let me make sure. Negative 360.
That's 0.776173.
That's 0.999968.
So dividing those two numbers.
And we're going to divide those two numbers. Correct. Divide those two numbers. 1146 divided by 0.999. 0.999. Oh, I should have wrote all them numbers down. Whatever. 999,968 is going to equal to what? Hold up, man. Oh, my goodness.
This answer as well. So that's another way in which you can calculate the monthly.
Man, my brain hurt, y'all. I don't know what I did wrong. I think it's because I didn't put all them numbers. So let's start over. My bitch, run up on me, nigga. I don't want you, baby. I can keep it to myself. They don't need to know, baby. Keep it to you.
That probably take her.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all how to calculate a mortgage on a property that costs $400,000. So first step is to do this formula. We're gonna start plugging in our numbers for this formula for our potential property, right? Hold on, let me cut this down. All right, y'all. So we about to determine our mortgage payment for a mortgage. All right, let me start. All right, so we about to determine the mortgage payment for our own property. That's at $393,000, right? So first step is we want to start plugging in our numbers. So P is 393,000. So listen, we about to go over this formula right here for our property. This formula right here, 393,000. All right, 000, and you want to put parentheses 0.035 divided by 12. All right, and that's gonna give you 1,000. $1,146.25. All right, now, when you get done with that, you're going to clear this out, and you're going to enter this formula right here. 1. All right, now come back right here, and now we're going to do the bottom half of the formula. All right, now it's time for the bottom half of the formula. Come over here, clear this out, correct? Now remember, what's the formula? We just going to plug in numbers. All right, we're going to put in the bottom half of this formula. All right, come over here. 1 minus parentheses. All right, 1 plus 0.035 divided by 12. All right, parentheses. And we're going to raise that to the negative 12 power. All right. No, negative 360. I'm sorry about that. Negative 360 because there's 360 payments. All right, what does that give us? That gives us 0.649527039. What you want to do is take that, your first number, 1146.25, and divide that by 0. All we're doing is dividing this number by this number. All right, 0.649527039. So our mortgage payment on this property is going to be $1,764 a month. That's how much the mortgage payment going to be.
So 300,000 times 0.05 divided by 12. We know that to be $1,250. And then 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12, raised to the negative 360. That's 0.7761734044. So dividing those two numbers gives you this answer as well. So that's another way in which you can calculate the monthly mortgage payment. So now that we have the answer to part A, let's move on to part B. Calculate the total amount of money that she will have to repay. So we know that she needs to make a total of 360 monthly payments. Because, as was mentioned before, there's 360 months in 30 years. So the total amount that she's going to pay is going to be the monthly payment times the number of payments that she's going to make. So 1610.56 times 360.
579,000.
So that's 579,765.
Man, how you get the same number as
so
me?
That's going to be the total amount of money that she's going to pay. Now, granted, this is based on our rounded answer. If we want to find the exact value, we could take this number and multiply it by 360. Let's do that.
I don't got my exact number.
So the exact value is $579,767.35. So we could see the difference is approximately $2. So not too much of a difference, but nevertheless, we can go for a rounded answer because when you make a monthly payment, it's going to be rounded. Typically, it's rounded to nearest cent. So this will be a reasonable answer for part B. So now let's move on to part C. Calculate the total interest that she will pay for this loan. So how can we do that? How can we calculate the total interest? The total interest paid on this loan over a time period of 30 years is going to be the difference between the total amount of money that she pays minus the principal. So we need to subtract this number by 300,000. So all you need to do is subtract 5 by 3, and you'll get $279,765.60. So that's going to be the total amount of money that she's going to pay in interest over a period of 30 years. Now you might be wondering, that's a lot of money to pay in interest. But what are some ways in which she can reduce the total interest that she's going to pay over the lifetime of this loan? Well, there's two things that she could do to reduce the total interest paid. Number one is to reduce the time period of the loan. If she can reduce the length of the loan, the total interest paid will be reduced.
So basically, she paying more.
Interest to accumulate. And the only way to decrease the time period of the loan is to make larger monthly payments. If she can increase her monthly payments, she's gonna
be able
pay
to
off the loan a lot faster. So that's one way, is you increase your monthly payments. That's going to decrease the length of the loan. And so because you pay off the loan faster, interest has less time to accumulate on your account balance. And so the total interest paid will be reduced. So that's number one. Pay off the loan faster by increasing your monthly payment. Number two is negotiate. The second thing you could do is reduce the interest rate on the mortgage. If you could bring down the interest rate where all else is, let's say if everything else is the same, just by reducing the interest rate, you can reduce the total amount of interest that you're going to pay over the time period of this loan. So those are the two ways you can bring down the interest. Number one, pay off the loan faster by increasing your monthly payments. Or number two, negotiate for a better interest rate.
And make sure y'all taking notes, man.
Now you know how to calculate the monthly mortgage payment and also how to calculate the total interest that you'll pay.
That man put us on. That man put us on, bro. Now we can go back to this. Oh, shit.
Those at $800 for your insurance, 1.1% of the loan amount for taxes, which is, I just estimated taxes and insurance and interest will be $827. Your principal and interest will be $827.94. I just estimated taxes and insurance, and I estimated those at $800 for your insurance, 1.1% of the loan amount for taxes, which is the nationwide average. Altogether, that wraps up to be $1,077.94 a month. However, we have to add on your mortgage insurance, and again, that is going to be 0.85% of the loan amount, which for this would end up being $1,669.21 per year, or $139.10 a month, which makes the total $1,217.04, including your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. So now you have to look at the property that you found and figure out what units would rent for. If you can cover that whole amount, if you can rent that unit for $1,200 or $1,300 a month, you are essentially living rent and mortgage free. Now, you still may have to pay some utilities, you still may have to pay for lawn care or, cut your own grass or whatever, but in general, you are living rent-free. And if you can rent it for more than that, you're making a little bit of money on the side. The key is to make sure that you look at what the area rental rates are. And for that, I use rentometer.com. It's free, it's easy to use. I'm not sponsored by them.
Let's go check out rentometer.com.
Free, it's easy to use. And for that, I use rentometer.com.
coming over you. I'm trying to see tools. Free my nigga move. Let's see how much the rent's going for in Naples. Oh! The average rent is $3,000, boy. Let's try Bonita Springs. We got good rent prices over here, man. We got 20 more minutes left.
It's free, it's easy to use. I'm not sponsored by them. I use that all the time for my own rentals. And you can look to see if the property that you're looking at has the potential to be rent-free for you. If you find that it's not going to work out, maybe you just cover some of the cost of your mortgage, but not all of it, or you go look for a building that either has the same amount of rental potential but has a lower purchase price, or one that has the same purchase price but is in a different area that has a higher rent potential. So I know that now you're thinking, wow, this all sounds great. What's the downside? And there are a few downsides. The biggest one is that you're going to need to learn how to be a landlord. And that means you're going to have to screen tenants, take care of issues, take phone calls, things of that nature. It's not as hard as it sounds. I've been a landlord for the past 7 years, and as long as you screen your tenants well, it is not a big deal. And I will make another video on, how to be a good landlord, how to screen tenants. It's down the road. I've only got so many hours in one day. You will have to become a landlord, and some people are and aren't set up for that mentally. Another thing is that you may have to pay for utilities. A lot of multifamily buildings in the 2 to 4 unit range are not set up with like separate water, separate sewer, sometimes separate gas and electric. Although I would look for ones that have separate gas and electric at least, because those can be very volatile and very high dollar items. If you do find a building that has not separate utilities, you can still do it. You just have to try to account for that in the rental rate that you charge, and then you need to advertise that those utilities are included. So if you are charging $1,400 a month for the same apartment that across the street they're getting $1,200 a month for, if they have to pay their own utilities over here at the $1,200 a month one, and they don't over here at the $1,400 a month one, they can take that into consideration when they're looking at your place. Another con to this entire thing is that you will have to live with people. It will be like living in an apartment. However, you own the apartment. But nonetheless, you still have to live with people. You still have to share your yard with people, parking with people. It is not the same as living in a single-family residence. You just have to take all that into consideration when you are looking at doing this particular scenario for your living area. But here's really the big payoff, is you only need to live in that apartment for 1 year to satisfy the FHA residency requirements for that loan. After that 1 year is up, you can then move out of that building, go get another FHA mortgage for 3.5% down, and then you can either buy another apartment building, live in that one, rent the other side, or you can go ahead and buy your single family home because you still have that first apartment building that you purchased. So now that first apartment building that was providing either all or some of the mortgage and possibly utilities being covered, that unit is now still there, and you can rent out the other side for presumably the same amount of money or more if you haven't, adjusted this one's rent rate. And so now that building may be able to completely cover the next building that you buy, plus you'll be able to rent out, 1 or 2 or 3 units in that, and then now you're starting to get a profit. So you're living for free and you're making a profit. Or if you decide that you're done with apartment living and you just want to live in a single family home, that apartment building may be able to pay for your entire mortgage for your new house, depending on how expensive it is. So I hope I helped someone out there today. Leave me a comment if
we got 15 minutes, man. We don't stop early. We fight through it.
Hey, what's going on? Scott Taylor with SanDiegoRealEstateHunter.com. In this video, I want to break down the 3.5% down FHA loan for several reasons. Number one, as the name suggests, you can put down as little as 3.5%. You get a loan amount up to $701,500, which is about a $725,000 sales price. And of course, you can take advantage of the extremely low FHA interest rates right now. Think low to mid to high 2s, depending on what your credit score is. And of course, if you're finding value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would smash that like button, subscribe to get more hard-hitting videos just like this, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video. As always, look below the video. There's going to be some show notes that goes over everything that I'm talking about. There's going to be some links to some other sources. And without further ado, let's get into it. So number one, you do not need to be a first-time home buyer for an FHA loan. You could have owned before, you could have never owned before. It does not matter. This will work for anybody who's looking to live in their primary residence, right? Or called owner-occupied. It's not good on a second home, it's not good on a vacation home, and it's not good on an investment property that you're not living in. So this works for any livable home, PUD, which is a planned urban development, not as many in San Diego, townhome or condo. And don't forget, look below this video. It has to be, if it's a townhome or condo, it has to be an FHA approved townhome or condo complex. I have a link below the video, or you could simply Google FHA approved condos. You will find a link, and it needs to be on that list. Just so you know, something around only 5 to 10% of all townhome and condos are on the FHA approved list. And it needs to be a livable 2, 3, or 4 unit, right? Duplex, triplex, or quadplex that you actually live in.
We going to quadplex.
I do not deal with anything as far as land loans. I don't deal with anything as far as mobile homes. I don't deal with anything as far as manufactured homes. So as the name suggests, and I've mentioned, you can put down as little as 3.5% for this loan. So here's the cool thing. More numbers below the video. At $300,000, we're looking at for a down payment of around $10,500. For $400,000, we're looking at a down payment of around $14,000. $500,000, down payment around $17,500. $600,000, right around $21,000 down. $700,000, right around $24,500 down. So here's the maximum loan amounts for an FHA loan right here in San Diego. Now don't forget, these are loan amounts, not sales price. So it's loan amount. The max loan amount for a 1 unit is $701,500. The max loan amount for a 2 unit or a duplex that you're going to live in and probably rent out the other is $898,500 loan amount. The max loan amount for a 3 unit, you're going to live in 1, rent out 2, is $1,085,550. And max loan amount for a 4 unit is, so you're going to live in 1, rent out 3, is $1,349,800. Why we have these weird numbers at the end, I have no idea. So the maximum debt to income ratio that is allowed on an
43%.
FHA loan is this. You can go up to just under 47% on the front end. That means your total housing payment, and just under 57% for total debts on the back end. So let me simplify for this, okay? Let's just assume you make $10,000 gross per month for a 12-month average, so we can lay out these numbers. So on the front end for your total housing payment, we can go up to just under $4,700 for a total housing payment if you gross $10,000 a month, and your total debts can be just under $5,700 per month, right? Total debts means whatever's on your credit report plus your future housing payment is total debt divided by average gross income. So we can do $4,700 on the front end, $5,700 on the back end as the max. I'm not saying that you should want to do that. I'm just saying that's what the max is. So this loan works perfect for anybody that has a full-time job or business for 2 years or longer. And don't forget, it's not limited to first-time home buyers. It's not limited to anything as far as income. And of course, it's perfect for those that have less than perfect credit. So the down payment and closing cost of money can be 100% gift from parents or another relative, an employer, an approved charity group, or a government home buyer program. So even if you don't have that 3.5%, and even if you don't tack it on with the down payment assistance program, you can get 100% gifted by those things that I just listed. So being approved with over or something around 40 different wholesale lenders in the state of California, I have probably 5, 7, 10 FHA lenders that specialize in an FHA loan. Specific lenders, what is the word that I'm trying to think of? Specialize, thank you, in specific loans, okay? So I have different lenders. If you're looking to put down 3.5%, I have different lenders that go 580 credit score. So your middle credit score, don't forget if it's just you, it's a middle score. If it's you and a co-borrower, we use the lowest middle. That has to be a 580 or higher. Obviously, generally speaking, it's better if your credit score is above that. So here's the waiting periods on an FHA loan if you've had these items. So if you've had a Chapter 7, it's 2 years from the discharge date. If you've had a foreclosure, it's 3 years from the foreclosure date, and that's when you're actually kicked out of the property and you can't others if you've had a short sale, okay? So now why don't we dive into some typical questions and answers that I get on the FHA loan. So a question, can I use the FHA loan in conjunction with one of your top down payment assistance programs? Yes, that's exactly how it works. You get the 3.5% right down that's needed for the FHA loan for a loan. You get that covered. Then we do a 96.5% FHA loan for your actual loan. That's 100% financing, okay? So that's exactly how that works. If you can't get gift funds for the down payment, and if you don't have the down payment, you can use a down payment assistance program with an FHA loan. That's how it works.
Down payment
So
assistance
if you had an
program.
FHA loan before, can you get one again? Yes, 100%. You can have, it doesn't matter. If you've owned before, you've an FHA loan, even if you foreclose on the FHA loan, that's fine. But you can usually only have one FHA loan at a time, right? Because you have to live in the property. That's why. So another question, why would I go with an FHA loan over a conventional loan? That's a great question. So the down payment on a conventional loan, right, is 3%, but you can only go up to a $510,000 loan amount. The down payment on an FHA loan is 3.5%, but you can go up to a $701,000 loan amount, okay? The FHA loan allows a higher debt to income ratio, those things I just talked about, and overall, they allow a lower credit score. So when you can put down less, if we go to higher loan limits, when your credit score can be lower, when they allow a higher debt to income ratio, they have faster time frames if you had a foreclosure or short sale or Chapter 7. So obviously it's easier to get an FHA loan. Okay, Scott, so you've mentioned the positives. What are some of the negatives to the FHA loan? So here's some of the negatives, right? There's always positive and negative to every different loan. So here's some negatives. With an FHA loan, you pay what's called the UFMIP. That's at 1.75% upfront to get the loan. That's very similar to a VA loan. That's very similar to a USDA loan. You do not have it with a conventional loan, but with the FHA loan, you do. So it's called the UFMIP. You pay that upfront. It's wrapped into your loan, so you don't actually pay out of pocket unless you want to. Usually nobody does, but you have to pay that. Obviously, on a monthly basis, right? You have the mortgage insurance premium, so you pay it up front, and then you also pay it monthly. Again, that's financed into your loan, but you should be aware of that. Something else that's important is these are for primary residence or owner-occupied only for an FHA loan. And don't forget, if it's a home, it's livable, okay? Home, PUD, a home or a PUD, you don't have to worry about if it's an FHA-approved complex. That does not matter. But if it's a townhome or condo, it has to be an FHA-approved townhome or condo complex, and there are much fewer than if you didn't have to do that. Question, if I have just enough for the down payment, is there a way I can get my closing costs covered? Yes.
Yes.
So there could be, basically 2 or 3 ways that we can pay closing costs, right? I'm licensed to do real estate. I'm licensed to do loans. When you work with me as your buyer's agent, I do both sides, okay? So I can help you with the real estate. I can help you with the loan. It's a one-stop shop. But how we structure the offer is this. We can ask the seller to pay your closing costs, number one. We can use what's called a lender rebate. You qualify at one rate. We do your rate a little bit higher. There's a difference right there. There's money on the back end. It's called a lender rebate, right? Or a no-cost loan. We use that to pay your closing costs, or obviously a combination of both, right? We might ask the seller to pay some of your costs. We might use a lender rebate for some of your costs. And get them covered that way if we're trying to limit your cash out of pocket besides your down payment. Okay, cool. So here's the steps to begin. Look below this video. There's apply for loan. Go to my main website, SanDiegoRealEstateHunter.com, or go directly to ScottsLoanApp.com. In 10 minutes or less, you can fill out my online application, whether it's from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, 100% safe and secure. Once you're done with that, you log back in, you answer a few more questions, your application is completely done. Takes 10 minutes or less. From there, you upload your needed supporting documents. It's very simple, only 5 things. Copy of your driver's license, last 30 days paychecks. It's very simple. And secure. In 10 minutes or less, down payment. Okay, cool. Use a lender rebate. And get them covered that way if we're trying to limit your cash out of pocket besides your down payment. Okay, cool. So here's the steps to begin. Look below this video. There's apply for loan. Go to my main website, SanDiegoRealEstateHunter.com, or go directly to ScottsLoanApp.com. In 10 minutes or less, you can fill out my online application, whether it's from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, 100% safe and secure. Once you're done with that, you log back in, you answer a few more questions, your application is completely done. Takes 10 minutes or less. From there, you upload your needed supporting documents. It's very simple, only 5 things. Copy of your driver's license, last 30 days paychecks, last 2 months bank statements, all pages, last 2 years tax returns and W-2s. By the way, if you don't have those, Google IRS tax transcripts. You get them completely free online. And then finally, if you have anything like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, retirement accounts, etc., we just need the latest statement for those. That's it. From there, you fill out the application. You provided your supporting documents. I am going to take a look at your application. I'm going to take a look at your documents. Then I'm going to run your credit. We use your lowest middle score to qualify. Then I add up your minimum monthly payments on your debts, plus your future housing payment is your total debts, divided by your average gross income is your debt to income ratio. So I report back what your max loan amount is going to be, what your interest rate might be. Obviously, it's not locked in. And then the best way that we're going to structure the offer to limit your cash out of pocket. Cool. If you want to watch some more videos in the series, obviously right now you're watching one on the FHA program details, or else the loan highlights. There's another one on some secrets I think you might want to be aware of for an FHA loan. There's another one regarding questions and answers, some of the most popular ones that I get. And finally,
okay, y'all, we gonna end the stream right there.
Goes into the loan documents that we need. It's those 5. But if you have some other things on your credit, I go into what we're gonna need for.
We gonna end the stream right there, y'all.
If you've liked it, I really appreciate you smash that.
I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. We learned a lot today. All right, we're gonna be back to later on today at 7 to 9. We're gonna be learning Spanish. 7 to 9, we're gonna be learning Spanish tonight. Let's end the stream off with a song, dude.
Regresó el McRib
Not an ad.
Bañada en deliciosa, dulce y escurridiza salsa barbecue. Ese sándwich que todos los demás.
Pulling up for combat. No, we can double back. Came from rags to riches. Freedom 8. A revolution. If you would be.
I was a young nigga, I was out here on my own, nigga. Remember me, aim at a nigga, pull the trigger. I'm a young nigga, still the same nigga, never changed, nigga. Still the same nigga. I was a young nigga, I was out here on my own, nigga. Remember me, aim at a nigga, pull the trigger. I'm a young nigga, still the same nigga, never changed, nigga. Still the same nigga. Me and all my niggas posted on the block. We desire serving rocks. No discussion, I need that play. I'm at the trap, but don't head that way. How much you need it. I'm coming out, meet me out the gate. Yeah, it's that gas, what you have to say. I ain't hearing what you saying. Did you hear what I said? I ain't with all of that playing.